If you're a guest here this morning, we welcome you to Cornerstone. If you're a member, we're glad you got up and came. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we thank you for this special day that we honor mothers today, Lord. And some of our mothers are here. Some of them are gone to be with you, Lord Jesus, but they still always made an impact in our lives, Lord. And we thank you for them. And Lord, we pray for this service this morning. I pray that your Holy Spirit comes and just fills this service and fills the words of the worship and the words of Matt this morning, Lord. We just praise you and we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's worship this morning.
Rages on as storm and tempest roar. We cannot win this fight inside our rebel hearts. We're laying down our weapons now. We raise our white flag. We surrender. This holy ground, come on y'all sing. You made a way for peace, laying your body down. You took our rightful place. This freedom song is marching on. We raise our white flag, we surrender. Lifted high, lifted high. We lift the cross, 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 lifted high, lifted high. We lift the cross lifted high, lifted high. We lift the cross lifted high, lifted high. We raise our white flag, we surrender all to you, all for you. We raise our white flag, the war is over, love has come, your love. We raise our white flag, we surrender all to you, all for you. We raise our white flag, the war is over, love has come, your love has won. We lift the cross lifted high, lifted high. We lift the cross lifted high, lifted high.
So they'll find them right now, shake their hand and say that.
I'll
shake the hand, I guess.
Oh, well.
You got the little hoop in today, huh?
What?
You got the little one in today.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be one of them round ones.
Nice. Same to you.
Actually, the other one got pulled out on the full face helmet, so I don't know when it got pulled off, that little cross. I got another one. John, before she left, she said, put that loop in there, you won't pull it out.
You need to put some tape over it when you put that helmet on.
I went back to my half helmet with my mask and my sunglasses.
Okay.
The full helmet was way too hot
I kind of figured,
this time.
especially when it's black.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it's the wind.
Morning.
You're sitting there from the wind at that speed. So I went back and I do my mask, which I like that with the weather. Dust out.
So, I went and looked at that when you told me to look up about those trike extension things. Really beating myself up for buying this car. I could have been saving up for one of those. I looked at that thing and I'm like, are you serious? Really? The one I looked at was like $3 grand. $4 grand. Forget it. And then they said it's real simple to install. Put on. You do it at home, basically.
I used to, the one I had, take one bolt and you can go home and take it off.
Yeah.
You get your motorcycle, get your kit, and you'll be ready.
Yeah, there was a motorcycle in the paper that I was looking at, $15,000. It was only $15,000. Something was probably wrong.
I paid $17.
Hey, I want to make a couple announcements. First of all, one of our goals this year was to put Bibles in 5 different communities going home to home. We did that. It's been about a month and a half ago, I guess. And we have 4 homes that we're going to go to over the summer. So I'm thankful for that. Another one of our goals is to give a Bible that's engraved with all the seniors' names. We're going to do that on Tuesday night this week. So that's another goal that we're going to be able to accomplish this year that was on our list. Would you just give the Lord a hand? Yeah, and so if you want to be there to be part of that, we will be at First Baptist of Weaver, and that will be on Tuesday night. The service begins at 6 o'clock, but we'll be giving away Bibles 5:30 to about 6, and then we'll just participate in the service. I'll have a little short part of that service, just telling why we've chosen to give the Bibles away. But we want some support there. We want them to let us know that we're there for them, that we're backing them up, okay? So thank you for that. Well, it wouldn't be Mother's Day without our Mother's Day gifts this year. So if you're the meanest mother, the oldest mother, or the toughest mother, then we probably will pick your name. No, I don't really know what the categories are this year. But Casey's going to help. I'm just going to kind of support him this morning.
This is for the oldest one. Who wants to claim to be the oldest one?
All right. If you're a mother here this morning and you're 70 or older and you want to claim it, would you stand? Would you stand this morning? 70 or older is true.
I'm 79.
Is there anyone
I'll be that.
Chase will be all right.
This was Matt, the youngest one.
No, he's giving away grade.
Who is the youngest mother?
All right, okay, if you're a mother and you're 24 or younger, would you stand this morning? Mothers that are 24, man, this is going to be the easiest thing. Alyssa, how old are you? 22.
Mother with the newest baby.
All mothers with a baby 1 year and younger. 1 year and younger. Would you stand up if your baby's 1 year or younger? All right, 1 year or younger. All right. No. All right. Oh, so it's Hillary. Yes. Hillary is the youngest. That one is the youngest baby. what's going on here. We've been blessed this year. We're talking about the possibility of expansion, and we don't have any major plans for that yet. For us, the what of that, but by your giving, it's going to make a way for that to happen. And we want to see the church grow. We want to see us reach into the community. We're just finishing up baseball, of course. That's been awesome. Our little Cornerstone AA team has only lost one game all year, and that was not even in a regular season. It was in a tournament. They've basically been undefeated against everybody that they played. Our girls softball team did excellent this year as well. And so those things like that are what gives us ties to people that normally wouldn't be in the church. We get to meet them through activities outside of the church. And you're giving us one of those things that happens. Also, one of the things that giving will go to this year as well is we're fixing to, all our youth services for June and July are going to be in Weaver Park. And so we're going to have a way to be right there where the kids are and get to invite them to a neutral location and have a chance to reach out to them. The ones that are already hanging out in the park, they're just going to be surprised when we show up. So you be praying for that as well, because it'll start in June. And so thank you for giving, and I just pray that God will bless you for it. I know He will. He promises it in His Word. Caleb, we bless the offering this morning.
Let's pray. With Jesus, again, we come to you. We just thank you, Lord. We thank you for the offering and the tithes, Lord. We thank you for the finances that come into this body of believers, Lord. And we pray, Lord, that when it goes back out and multiplies, and it goes out to the things that you want us to send them out to, Lord. And we thank you for that, Lord Jesus. And we thank you for the grounds, the buildings, the air conditioning, all these things that we have because we're financially able, Lord. And I ask you to bless everybody who gives today, Lord. And there's some reason that somebody can't give, that they just don't have the money, they don't have the means, Lord. I ask you to bless them and show them, Lord, that even a small amount, you can bless it, Jesus. In your name we pray, Lord. Amen.
Hands and multiply, God, all that I am, and find my heart on the altar again. Set me on fire, set me on fire. Take all I have in these hands and multiply. All that I am, and find my heart Let's sing that one more time. Sing,
holding nothing back.
This morning, Miss Bruce, she shared with me that she was having some medical just problems right now. Miss Barr, can I ask you to come up and pray for you this morning? I know that you're concerned about, she's had some blood work done. She just needs God to move. And I just want to pray for her. If there's anybody else that would like to be prayed for this morning, too, you can come forward at this time. We want to lay hands on her. You guys continue to worship. Some more if you want to gather around and just pray with us this morning. Sometimes there's things that I don't feel like we need to ignore this morning. So I want the opportunity to pray.
gracious to forgive us. By your power we've been set free. Lord, we stand amazed in your presence, astounded by your mercy and love. Our hands are lifted high in surrender
that God is not done with you. He is not through. He loves to redeem the wreckage. And I just believe this morning, more than ever, He's saying, I'm just not done with you. I'm not done with you. I know exactly where you're at. I know exactly what you're going through. And this battle that you've been facing, you're about to see the breakthrough. You're about to see the breakthrough. It's about to come to pass in your life. And you're going to see what God has been doing the whole time. Let me pray for you this morning. God, we love you. We look forward to this day that we have with you, God, believing that you've got something for us this morning. And we praise you, and we honor you, and we lift you high. Open our ears to hear your word this morning, God, and may we give you all the praise and all the glory that you deserve. In your name, I pray. Amen. You can be seated. Amen. Thank you for being here on this Mother's Day. And if you have your Bibles, turn to 1 Samuel chapter 1. I do want to do something before I go on this morning. I saw Kerry Hurst come in the back, and I know he doesn't want this, but I just want to honor him this morning for being faithful years ago and taking a step in faith and planting this church. Would you give him a hand this morning? I'm part of that story now, and it means a lot to me, and I'm grateful that he was faithful and he listened to what the Lord told him to do at the time, and we're all here today as part of that step of faith. So I'm just grateful for that this morning. So this morning we're talking about she keeps her promises, and this is a lady of integrity. But before we get started, I did want to share a few things with you that I found about mothers. This one here, when I raise my voice, my kids call it yelling, but I call it motivational speaking for the selective hearing. My mom was a great motivational speaker. Maybe that's where I get it from. I don't know. All right, how about this one here? Mom, the amazing ability to hear a sneeze through closed doors in the middle of the night, 3 bedrooms away, while Daddy snores next to you. Amen. Thankful for those who can hear it. Well, I think April can hear vomit before it comes out of their mouth. I mean, she's in the mood, you know. I don't know what noise it is, but she claims there's a noise right before the magic happens. All right, how about this one? If you're going to scream like that, you better be on fire with a stick in your eye. I feel like this one telling Hojo half the time. I told her yesterday, I said, I do not want to hear you sound like Caillou one more time. I don't know if you've ever watched that show, Caillou. That kid, they should have never made a show about him. He whines and complains all the time, and evidently every kid who ever listens to him starts to sound exactly like him. It's not a good. And then I found this last one that really pertained to myself is all moms gave birth to a child except my mom. She gave birth to a legend. You know, you can't help what you are. I mean, you got identity. Oh man, thank you, Lord, for that. All right, so before we get into the message, like I said, I wanted to share those with you. But we're talking about a godly mother this morning. And Hannah in 1 Samuel is the mother of Samuel. But before she had Samuel, she was barren. And in her broken state, she called out to the Lord. And he answers and gives her a son. And she names him Samuel. Then Hannah gives him to the priest for him to serve in the temple forever. And when I look at Hannah and her life, it's hard for me to think of a more godly mother. Hannah carries herself different than those around her. I tell you, the world could use a few more godly mothers. I don't know if you've been on Facebook lately, but there's some that I don't feel like are very godly. I see women acting like it's senior year, spring break, and they're on the beaches of Panama City. They're 30 years old, can't hold down a job, and in the background of their pictures is their children, when they should be the forefront of the pictures, and when they should be an example. What's happened to modesty? What's happened to integrity? What's happened to purity? Seems like a lot of things are broken. And mothers, I get to get on you today, but in a few weeks I get on fathers and myself and all of the above. So don't feel like I'm just picking on you today. You know, it's not just mothers that I hold blame. I hold blame too for fathers who are absent. And on Father's Day, like I said, I'll address the role of fathers. I already feel like I kind of got a direction I'm going to head in that. But today we're talking about the impact of a godly mother. And why you would want to be a godly mother. And but, I'm there a lot less than she is. And I give her credit because she does an excellent job and she feels very called to our children, which is powerful as a mother. She's not here. She stepped out to go be with her mother at Edgewood right after worship this morning, but she is a phenomenal mother. And right now at our house, one of the things that April's doing with our children is instilling in them who they are. And I really love this. She felt really pressed a while back. She was praying and she was talking to another family and they had like a bunch of children. I mean, there's like 10 or 12 of them. And all of them just turned out to be these godly adults. And she talked to them about the process of that and how they're a little bit different, a little bit separated from the world in some things, but in some things they're really dead on. And one of the things that they did was they had a code of honor for their boys. And there was this code of honor in which they kept the things that they spoke over the children. And so April thought about it. She said, there's some things I want to pray over the children. And then as she prayed about it some more, she said, there's some things I want the children to say about themselves, and I want to hear them saying it out of their own mouth. And we've been doing this now for a couple of months, and it's been a couple of months. And April, she knows the strengths of both of our children. She's put together a statement that they speak over their lives daily. So in the mornings, when they're on their way to school or when they're getting up, she'll ask them, she'll say, who are you? Now, I'm not making this up for a sermon, okay? I promise this is what she does. I couldn't make this up. And Elijah, he responds with this. This is what he says about himself. He says, I'm a man of character, dignity, integrity, and honor. I'm made for purity and for purpose. I walk courageously in truth and light as a son of the Most High God, and I am a warrior in the army of God. And he memorizes that, and he says that. When she asks him, she'll say, certain times of the day, she'll say, who are you, Elijah? And he'll say that. He'll repeat it back. And even last night when I was writing them down, because I hadn't memorized them, when I was writing them down, Hosanna wanted to say hers when we were repeating. And this is Hosanna's, and I love it. And when we ask Hosanna, we say, Hosanna, who are you? She says, I am God's princess. I'm valued and loved. I'm made for purity and purpose. I will sing his praise forever, and I will fight for Jesus. And it's something about hearing your 3-year-old say these things. You know what I'm saying? We're given identity, parents. April's working to shape identity and who they are. And what I love about this is how easily the kids have picked up on it. They don't seem to mind saying it. I thought, sometimes you think, it's kind of nerdy, it's kind of hokey or whatever, but they like to say it. They like to hear those things about themselves. And it begins to ingrain in who they are. So I've got one for myself that I say now. Once I saw them doing it. And mine is, I am healthy, I'm happy, I'm holy, I'm powerful through Jesus. I'm a risk taker, a world changer, and a difference maker. And I tell that to myself, and sometimes during the day I repeat it because I want to know who I am too. And this is who I am. And what I know about this establishing identity that April is doing in the lives of my children is that one day they're going to do something that's out of character of who they say they are. And at that moment when they do something, either I'm going to remind them or God's gently going to nudge them and he's going to say, who are you? And they're going to realize at that moment that the way I'm acting doesn't line up with who I say I am. And it's going to be ingrained in them. This is who I am. I had a discussion with Elijah even yesterday. We bought him some new shoes, and he's so proud of these new shoes. And it was kind of that point where you have to buy shoes, where a toe's sticking out the end, and the sole is literally rolling off. And you've got to do a little better than that. I'm not really prepared to buy shoes, but it's a must. And we're talking. He said, there's a kid who gets shoes all the time. And he said, and he has like the nicest of the nice shoes. And he kind of makes fun of some of the other kids who doesn't have nice shoes. And you know what I told him? I said, you got to understand, Elijah, that he doesn't get to choose who he is. Like in the fact that his parents are able to buy for him, any different from the kid whose parents aren't able to buy for him. He's just a victim of his circumstance, whether it's a good circumstance or whether it's a bad circumstance. I said, it doesn't change anything about who he is. And I said, isn't it interesting that every person that you see, every person that you walk past, every person, everywhere you go, God's love for them is just as strong for them as it is for you. And he's seeking to save them even now. Isn't that powerful? I mean, the people that you see, the little kids on the commercial who's running their hands under clean water in the further parts of Africa, the guys in the south of the Mexico border, all these people all across the world, God is passionately seeking after them. And he sees value in them just as much as he sees in us. And it's like we don't grasp that sometimes. And when we worship, I can tell sometimes we don't grasp it, because even when we worship at our best, I feel like, man, we're just missing it a little bit. If we can really comprehend the magnitude of God, wouldn't we worship differently? instill who they are. And I want Elijah, I said, Elijah, we're just different. We're kingdom seekers. We're kingdom builders. This is who martyrs are. This is what we do. This is who we are. We may not ever be the best at sports. We may not ever be the best at school, but we're going to chase after Jesus. He said, yeah. And I was like, yes, we're getting it. It doesn't matter what others think of us. This is who we are. And you know what? When he gets out of my house, I want him to remember who he is. When he's dating, maybe one of your daughters, I want him to remember who he is. And I don't want y'all to smack him around. Unless he deserves it, then I do want you to smack him around. It's okay. See, a godly mother, what they do is they give identity to their children through godly instruction. They give identity to their children through godly instruction. Because see, we don't know what identity to give somebody unless we have a model to face it, to compare it to. So godly mothers give identity to your children. Have you noticed in society what seems to be a major underlying issue for many is that they have no idea who they are? You know, boys aren't masculine anymore because fathers are absent. I watched a video this week. Somebody had posted who I consider a good Christian person, but they posted this video, and it was about being proud of who you are. It's like a race kind of thing, and being proud of the race. And I was fine. I wanted to see a little bit about it, kind of understand what they're talking about. But there were two men in this video, and one man, first thing he says out of his mouth, he says, "Well, I'm homosexual." And I said, "Okay, well, and you're not going to agree on some things." And then the next thing they flashed over to the other guy, the only other male on the show, and he's talking feminine, and I'm not going to make assumptions, but he was wearing high heels, and I'm not making this up. And I thought, my goodness, where's your identity, man? Where's your identity? I mean, I can understand even if you like things. I don't think the heels is the most comfortable way to go. Does anybody like wearing heels? I mean, they look good on women, but man, that do much for you. And so I thought he's not going to be able to run with those things. But I thought, here's a man, and he's choosing to wear high heels. Why? Because he's not sure of who his identity is. Nobody's giving him the right identity. And let me tell you, in this day that we're living in, as parents, we need all the help we can get. So it's necessary that the Word of God be part of our parenting method. It has to be. It has to be the book that we go to. And see, you can't go to something that you don't read. Man, as a society as a whole, even in the church, we go off what other people tell us instead of going and getting it for ourselves. We go off what everybody else tells us other than going and getting it for ourselves. That's why I'm so proud of the ones who have chosen this year to go through the Bible, read through the yearly plan. We're almost halfway there. Can you believe it? Praise the Lord. I mean, I see you guys still hanging in there, still hanging tough, even through the books that were hard. Because there was some that wasn't fun. Numbers and Deuteronomy, I can only read about the law so much. But now we're into the great part. Because we went through Joshua, and it just makes you rise up and want to be a warrior. And now we're in Judges, where God is using normal people to do supernatural things. And I think, man, if God can take a man with a jawbone of a donkey and he can kill 1,000 people, then God can do anything that I need him to do. I don't need 1,000 people going. So in talking about who my kids are, let me show you who Hannah is. Now, one of the things about Hannah is she is one of two wives. Doesn't sound too much fun, but that was common in the time. But I'm still sure that it wasn't very easy. Let's look at this. 1 Samuel chapter 1. There was a certain man from Ramathaim, a Zuphite from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Jeroam, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, and Ephraimite. And I should get points for just making it through that. All right? And he had two wives. First mistake. One was called Hannah, and the other one Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Year after year, this man went up from his town to worship and sacrifice to the Lord Almighty at Shiloh, where Hophni and Phinehas, the two sons of Eli, were priests of the Lord. And whenever the day came for Elkanah to sacrifice, he would give portions of meat to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. All her sons and daughters, an indication that there's many. But to Hannah, he gave a double portion because he loved her, and the Lord had closed her womb. Because the Lord had closed Hannah's womb, her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. 10 sons. See, Hannah's the other woman. She's the other woman. Can you imagine the way she must feel? She loves Elkanah. She wants to bear his children, but it's out of her control. Any mothers ever feel out of control? Anybody's house ever feel out of control? Yeah. Have you ever longed to do something that you were just physically unable to do? Like me, I'm not going to dunk a basketball. I've wanted to, but evidently physically I'm not able to unless the goal is this high, and then I can reach it. If it involves jumping, I'm not physically able to do. But it's frustrating and it's heartbreaking when you want something so bad and your physical body is the part that keeps you from having it. Not only can she not have children, but Elkanah's other wife can. And it says in verse 6 that her rival, notice that it calls the other woman the rival. It means that they're competing for the love of Elkanah. Each one longs to have him to herself. Now, guys, that might sound like a good thing, but I bet you it's not. It says in verse 6 that her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. And in verse 7 it says, this went on year after year after year. Can you imagine somebody's provoking you with something that's probably the very root of who you are? I'm sure when you want to have sugar, you cannot, it probably stings down to the soul. And I've seen people, so brokenhearted over. So I can imagine this is the most tender spot that Hannah has, and this woman just keeps pressing it. Don't you love people like that? They just keep pressing those buttons that you have, and it's just eating at you, and it's exhausting. Not to mention when you have someone tormenting you about the issue that you have no control over. Don't you hate being made fun of something that you can't do anything about? It's like, oh, you got curly hair, you got straight hair, you light skin, you're dark skin. And it's just things you can't do anything about that somebody wants to make fun of you about. And notice that Hannah, she is the perfect example for a godly woman because, it never says that she traded insult for insult. It never says that she retaliated against the attack of her rival. There's a lesson to learn here. The lesson is that every person that comes against you is not yours to fight and to destroy. We want to rise up. But sometimes by saying nothing, it says who you really are. I had that discussion with Elijah this week too. I said, it's much harder to not fight than it is to fight. Because the natural response is to get mad. I said, it's much harder to not say something back than to say something back. Because he was talking about somebody bragging about their ability to play ball or something. And he said, oh, this makes me so mad. I said, why don't you just let it ride and keep practicing? See what happens. I said, because in time, what will happen is you will surpass him. And I said, see, Hannah, she wasn't trying to gain favor with Peninnah. And so her focus was never on Peninnah. Isn't that interesting? How there's distractions in your life that are fighting for your attention, but they don't have anything to do with what your goal is. Have you ever noticed that you're trying to do something and then somebody comes and tries to distract you away from what you're doing? But if you'll realize what your goal is, you won't worry about what's trying to distract you and keep you from it. So she never made her focus Peninnah. She kept fighting on. She kept going on and on and on. And see, she remained focused on her desire to bear children, and she didn't look to Facebook. She didn't look to some support group to get her comfort. She went to the only place that had the answer. She keeps going to God. Why? Because that's what godly mothers do. They say, oh, I can't do this. They don't go looking for somebody who can. They go to God and they ask him. Hannah's broken heart could not be healed by anyone other than God. Notice that her husband tried to help. All right? That's what we do, right? And he says, now, ladies, realize this, and I say this with much care and delicately, your husband doesn't have all the answers. I know y'all are surprised by that. And he can't always figure out how to solve every issue. So go easy on him. A lot of the times they're just trying to figure out why everyone's crying. I mean, Hannah is given extra meat by Elkanah. Why? Because he's trying to fix her broken heart. So he gives her more food. Sounds like a guy. And one thing she has going for her is she does have an attentive husband who wants to help. Give the guy some credit. A guy that's giving you answers, he's giving you answers because he does want to help you, and he is attentive to your needs. Have one that doesn't care. Have one that doesn't listen. but she still can't seem to win. You ever felt like that before, ladies? See, her husband loves her more, but her heart is still broken. And see, as a husband, I'm sure it was exhausting for him because he wanted to help her. He wanted to be all that she needs, but to not have the ability to fix the issue had to be heartbreaking for Elkanah. Elkanah, he just wants to fight. He just wants all the fighting and the crying to stop, and he tries to help. Like I said, bless his heart, but he's a man. And so he responds like a man would. All right. Let's look here. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 8. Poor Elkanah, look at it down in the corner. It's the modern day Elkanah. Her husband Elkanah would say to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? You know, and he means well, but the answer is really wrong. This is just how men are programmed. And I'm sure Elkanah's mind, it sounded good, but it wasn't helpful. And women, sometimes you have to give your husband a break. He just may not have the answer to your problem. And I know that some of you are exhausted, you're wore out from the kids, and you bring it to him, and you may not even want to answer, but he feels like he needs to give one. It's just the way we're programmed. And he always feels the need to try to solve it. Why? Because in the root of everything that a man is, he just wants to make you feel better. When a man sees his wife is heartbroken, when he sees her wore out, when Abel's wore out from the kids, I start trying to give answers. Kids, go away. Kids, do this. Kids, go this. And I start trying to orchestrate events that make her at ease. Because why? Because I want to see her at her best. And so, ladies, don't be too hard on your husband. Mothers, don't be too hard on the fathers, because really they're not trying to just solve all your problems. They're just trying to make things better. And when Hannah realizes, though, that Elkanah cannot give her what her heart desires, she does what only she can do. She cries out to the Lord. All right. And see, some moments later, they're in the temple, and Hannah wages war for what she wants. And she puts herself in a position of prayer to fight for what she wants the Lord to do. She comes before the Lord that day at the temple, completely broken. Now this is what I want you to understand, ladies. Never underestimate the power of prayer from a broken mother. There's been a lot of souls saved on the backs of praying mothers. And you just keep on praying. You just keep pouring out your petitions to the Lord, because he is ever present. And he is hearing her prayers. And it doesn't say that as soon as the first day that Hannah prayed that God came. But see, it says year after year after year. Until finally, what did she do? She exhausted herself before the Lord. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here, 1 Samuel 1, verse 9. Once when they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh, Hannah stood up. Now Eli the priest was sitting on his chair by the doorpost of the Lord's house. And in her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping, what bitterly. And she made a vow, saying, Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, and I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head. She kept on praying to the Lord. Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. And Eli thought, well, she's drunk. And said to her, how long are you going to stay drunk? Put away your wine. Not so, my Lord, Hannah replied. I am a woman who is deeply troubled, and I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I've been praying here out of my great anguish and grief. And Eli answered, go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you've asked me. She said, may your servant find favor in your eyes. Then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. See, she had poured out all she was. She set her heart determined to pray until there was a breakthrough. Maybe you have a child that's not in church. Maybe you have a child that's not living for the Lord. Maybe you have a situation right now in your life that seems so big and it's so painful to you. But I'm telling you that if you will just keep battling, if you'll keep being determined to see a breakthrough will come. See, a godly mother will bury her burdens in prayer. A godly mother will bury her burdens in prayer. 1 Samuel 1:10, in her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly. Can any of you mothers relate to this? Your prayers are powerful. Look here, Steve Harvey said this. He said, my mother was a Sunday school teacher, so I'm a byproduct of prayer. My mom just kept on praying for us son. See, it makes a difference. It changes the destination of the child. I can remember some times where April wept for our children, where I could be no comfort to her because I did not have the answer. I remember April was weeping in the hospitals. We were there with Hosanna just day after day. And there were times that she didn't know. We didn't know what the future was. We didn't know. And she just wept. I can remember times where maybe Elijah did something that disappointed us or whatever, and she just wept for him because she didn't want him to be in that state of mind. She wanted him to have a better state of mind. She wanted him to do better. Our times when he was heartbroken over something and she wept for him, and I couldn't be a comfort to her. And how difficult it is as a father not to be able to comfort your wife. But there's times where only God can do it. And maybe you have something going on right now with your children, and you don't have the answer. And maybe they're lost. Maybe they're sick. And I question this: have you wept before the Lord? Because if it's important enough to worry about, it's important enough to weep over. We weep over the things that we love. And what I found in this is that God is moved by brokenness. He is. Hannah bargained with God, and he was moved by her tears. You know, we make a lot of promises to God. How many of us have bargained with God before? God, let us do this. And I don't think he needs anything that we have to offer. So I think it must be the attitude in which we bring it that moves him. It's not that he didn't need Samuel. But he used Samuel because she was broken. See what I love about it? If you want things for your children, sow your tears before the Lord. Look here, Psalm 126:5. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Man, I love that verse. When I'm brokenhearted, maybe someone's passed away, maybe something's difficult, and I'm shedding tears, I think about this verse. I'm going to sow in tears, but I'm going to reap in joy. It's the multiplication of God that doesn't make sense. I'm crying, but yet somehow he's going to bring joy out of it. And when I'm brokenhearted and when I'm tempted to be depressed, I just lean on God and I think, you know what, these tears aren't sowed in vain. Look at this one. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. If you've ever laid awake at night praying for your children, you can understand this verse. And you can take comfort in it that God, he is close to the brokenhearted. And he saves those who are crushed in spirit. He's going to come through. And see, when our hearts are broken, it's that at that point that God shows up. Look here, 1 Samuel 1, verse 19. Early the next morning they arose, and they worshipped before the Lord. And they went back to their home at Ramah. And Elkanah made love to his wife Hannah. And the Lord remembered her. So in the course of time, Hannah became pregnant. And she gave birth to a son. And she named him Samuel, saying, because I asked the Lord for him. See, what you got to understand, mothers, is that God hears those prayers in the loneliness of night. He sees those tears you shed for your children, and he's never far away. I woke up to April praying. I woke up in the middle of the night, and she's awake, and I was just praying for this, or I was praying for the kids, I was praying, and I go, man, God has to hear those prayers in the middle of the night when you couldn't be sleeping, but instead you're up. And you want to see God move? Sacrifice sleep for him. Sacrifice sleep. When April and I were dating, I would set my clock, and I would get up at a certain point in the middle of the night and I'd pray for our relationship. Not because I was great and godly, just because I felt like it would work. Evidently it did. I said, God, help me be better than what I am, because I'm not really good at this. And God, help me be the man of God I need to be. I mean, you got to understand, April's dad is a great godly man. She has a great character to compare to. So I had a lot to try to live up to. And I would get up in the middle and I'd say, God, don't let me mess it up. And I would get up in the middle of the night because I understand that God honors sacrifice of sleep. And when we get up in the middle of the night or we get up early than what we should, it's something about that I feel like that he just takes seriously. Like if you're willing to lose sleep over it, I'm willing to listen. You know, it's not some popcorn prayer at the end of the day that I just throw up in the air. But see, it's sacrifice of time that God honors. And what I understand too is that something that I see Hannah do is that she honors a proper order in her house. And this is what I'm talking about. A godly mother must maintain proper order in her house. And I'm seeing a lot of instances where children are moved to to a different place. If you notice, it starts with God, and then it branches off into the husband and the wife, and then together it goes down to the children. Now, it can go directly from God to the children, and it can go from God directly to the husband and the wife. But the relationship needs to be husband and wife to the child. It doesn't need to get out of order. It's not the way it was designed. It wasn't Adam and then Cain and Abel. It was Adam and Eve and then Cain and Abel. See what I'm saying? There's something about that proper relationship, something about that your kids can look to and they can honor. See, it must be God, husband and wife, children. And if you're loving your children over your spouse, you're training them for failure in their marriage. If we're not supposed to have anybody, there's not supposed to be anything in our life elevated above God, or it's an idol, then there shouldn't be anything in our marriage elevated above our spouse other than God, or it's an idol in our marriage. It becomes something that we place higher esteem on. And what we've said when we committed to God is that the two become one. So how can you put something above yourself like that? See what I'm saying? There's an order that has to be maintained. And there's a dynamic of the husband and wife in this passage. Look here, 1 Samuel 1, verse 19. Early the next morning they arose and they worshiped before the Lord, and they went back to their home in Ramah. And Elkanah made love to his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. See, they went back to their home. Hannah loved Elkanah, and Elkanah loved Hannah, and both of them loved God. They got up in the morning and they worshiped together. Notice that relationship is in its proper place. They're there together. And it says that the greatest gift you can give your children is to love your spouse. And so you ought to hug in front of them. You ought to hold hands in front of them. And most importantly, you ought to worship and pray together. Do your children ever see you pray with their father? Mother? If they don't see your example, how will they know? Hannah prayed and worshiped with Elkanah. And notice, out of all the things that she had going on, it doesn't mention strife between her and Elkanah. Why? Because they worshiped together. They prayed together. Hannah gives the perfect model of how a mother should respond to trials. She processes her pain through prayer and receives peace. She processes her pain through prayer and receives peace. And what I understand about this with Hannah is that she had problems, but her problem was never Elkanah. It wasn't her husband that she had a problem with. She had a problem that her husband couldn't fix. And let me ask you this, ladies. Will you pour out your soul and wait for the Lord? Because that's hard to do. Hannah had probably asked to have children multiple times. Years and years and years. And not only did she not get what she prayed for years and years, but she also received ridicule at the hand of her husband's other wife. It's kind of difficult to deal with. And so she received this pain. It was not only that God wasn't meeting her request, but he wasn't stopping her pain either. And so she just makes this request over and over and over and over and over. But she processed her pain through prayer, and eventually she found peace. And ladies, will you pour out your soul and wait for the Lord? Now, this is a question that, and I would ask the men the same thing, but if you were to die today, would your children ever remember a time when they heard you pray for them? If you were to die today, would they remember a time where they go, yep, that's my mother's prayers. I hear them. See, we can't be so self-conscious about what we pray that we neglect to pray out loud for our children because they need to hear it. Well, you need to pray loud. You need to pray often. Abraham Lincoln said this. He said, I remember my mother's prayers, and they've always followed me. They have clung to me all my life. He remembered them. He's an older man at this time, but yet he remembers his mother's prayers. It's powerful. When Hannah was broken, and when she was broken, and she put her prayers before the Lord, God heard her prayers. There is a position to your prayer that God seems to respond to, and it's the position of brokenness. One of the things that, and I named the message after this, is that Hannah husband, after the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him before the Lord, and he will live there always. Do what seems best to you, her husband Elkanah told her. Stay here until you have weaned him. Only may the Lord make good his word. So the woman stayed at home and nursed her son until she had weaned him. And after he was weaned, she took the boy with her, young as he was, along with the 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. And when the bull had been sacrificed, they brought the boy to Eli. And she said to him, Pardon me, my Lord, as surely as you live, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. And so now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be given over to the Lord. And he worshiped the Lord there. Hannah is a promise keeper. Women, you got to keep your promises. If you tell your children something, you got to do what you say. If you tell God something, you got to do what you say. It's so important. She didn't just make empty promises. How many times have you prayed and said, God, if you would just do this, then I will do this. And then maybe it happened, and you didn't keep your end of the bargain. God, I'll be in church every Sunday. God, I'll give. I'll do this. I'll do this. And then when it really happened, you really just back off. You're like, thanks, God. See, Hannah had wanted a child for years. She had prayed, she had cried, and then she had cried, and then she had prayed. She had been mocked by Elkanah's other wife, constantly wearing her shame. And now God has blessed her with a child. And as much as I am sure she loves Samuel, she never wavered from fulfilling the promise that she made to God. Could you sacrifice the answer to your prayer moments after finally holding it? Can you imagine? She gave them away because she promised she would. And Hannah had 3 things that make her stand out above the rest. One was her brokenness. The other was her passion. The last of all, and probably most important, was her obedience. She was obedient to what she told God she would do. She poured out her broken heart. She did it in such a way that Eli thought she was drunk. Sounds pretty passionate to me. And then when she finally held the promise of God, she didn't cling to it or complain about the promise she made. She simply kept the promise. Here's another thing. If you're writing them down, ladies, when you fulfill your vows to God, He will pour out a blessing. When you fulfill your vows to God, He will pour out a blessing. 1 Samuel 2:21. And the Lord was gracious to Hannah, and she gave birth to 3 sons and 2 daughters. Meanwhile, the boy Samuel grew up in the presence of the Lord. See, when Hannah invested what she promised into the hands of God, she received a 5-fold increase. But she didn't know she was going to do that when she promised to give Samuel away. See, there's something about faith in giving. You say, oh, I'm going to give this, and God blesses it, but you don't know you're going to bless it when you hand it off. You didn't know. She didn't know she was going to have 5 other children. She just said, God, if you give me a child, even holding him for just a moment is more than I have now. And I'll tell you what I'll do, God. I'll give him back to your service because at least I'll know that I wasn't barren, because it was like a shame for her to be barren at that time. Wasn't anything she could do about it, but society looked on it as a shame, and so she felt bad about it. She thought, if I can just have this baby, having a baby and giving it back to the Lord is better than never having a baby at all. And so she kept her promises. It was difficult, I'm sure, but she never wavered. It never says that she wavered. See, a godly mother knows how to trust God and believe Him for the increase. Have you ever been there before where you just had to kind of almost wash your hands of something and say, God, I've sowed all I can. I can't do anything else. So and waited on the increase. Some of you sowed tears for your children. You've worked hard. You've tried to give them everything you can give them, but eventually you just have to walk away and you have to say, it's God's. And that's not an easy thing to do. But you know what? Just like Hannah, when she gave away Samuel, God is the God of increase. He is the God of supply. And so you're creating a legacy. Ladies, you're creating this legacy now. But what will you be remembered for? What will you be remembered for? I look around. I've been here over 2 years now. It's been wonderful. greatest joy of my life, y'all. And I look around, and I remember your children when I got here, and I look at them now, and I remember my children when I got here, and I look at them now, and I realize that they're growing fast. And they're not kids very long. Talked to Elijah the other night. We're talking, he's 11 and a half. And April and I got married. April was 19, I was 20. And I thought, man, in 8 years, he'll be right there where we were. He'll be old as we were. And I remember 8 years ago like it was yesterday. And it flies by. It goes by really fast. So what kind of mother do you want to be? Abraham Lincoln said this. He said, no man is poor who hasn't got a mother. That's the most important thing you can do. There's nothing else you can give them other than to live for Jesus. To live in such a way that they know. It'll be nice for my children because they'll never know a mother who wasn't living for the Lord. I've never known my mom when she didn't live for God. I don't remember integrity issues with my mother. Some of you are like, oh, I'm not surprised, but not everybody can say that. I don't remember a time when she didn't serve the Lord. See, do your children hear your prayers? Or did they see you go to God in times of trouble? Do your children see your love for their Father? Do your children see you set an example of consistency in your walk with the Lord? Randy, would you come this morning? I'm challenging mothers to raise the bar. Because you know what? In this society today, what's sad is you don't have to just raise your children. A lot of us end up raising somebody else's children as well. It's your kids' friends that don't have mothers, that don't have daddies. It's the kids you coach on the ball team. I mean, I go to Elijah's ball practice, and I'm the only father there, other than the coaches. And let me tell you, there ain't a whole lot of mothers hanging out either. I don't see half the kids' families. And I know Jamie sees the same thing, and coaches Wes, and all you guys. And what I say is, you've got to set the bar higher because you're not just raising your own anymore. The society is so broken that we're raising others. Only God would bless us, and He would empower us to take children into our arms. That He would allow that. I see you adopted, and I'm blown away because I go, yes, this is the picture of God. He takes on children that aren't His, that weren't His, that weren't living for Him. He makes them because He's a godly Father. That's what godly fathers do. And He says, I'm going to give you the same rights as my own blood children. See, in life, a lot of things don't matter. Some come and some go. But mothers matter. Mothers matter. They're the hands that shake the clay of our children. What is your clay going to turn out to be like? Let's stand together. You don't have to be perfect, but you got to be consistent. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be consistent. You have to stand for what you say you stand for, and your children have to see it. You're going to make mistakes, but you got to consistently go back to the source. In sports, you may miss a rule, and it may cost you a penalty, but you can always go back to the rule book and figure out what you did wrong. And the Bible is the same way. If we will dedicate our lives to it, it will guide us. I know today that I have more than I ever deserved because I decided to follow God's way for my life. And if you say, oh, my life's pretty good, imagine what it could be had you dedicated yourself to the Lord. This morning I invite mothers to pray for children. I invite women to pray for mothers. I invite men to pray for wives, mothers. And I say, let's raise the Lord. Let's take it to another level.
Never
Let's give those disappointments to God. Because let me tell you, He is big enough to handle disappointments. He is big enough to handle. If there's I just feel I'm going to keep it open just a little while longer. If there's someone here this morning that says, I struggle, oh, it's been a struggle for me, Pastor, then we come this morning and we just lay it out before the Lord. Just like Hannah did, just pour our tears out on this altar and say, God, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, I want to be part of what you want to do. I want to love those who need love. I want to be a reach to those who need somebody. I am open to whatever plan that you have for my life. Whatever it is, God, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say yes, because I realize that you've raised me up to lead generations. So if you're struggling this morning, would you just bring your prayers to the altar this morning? Could we just lay them down this morning and wait on God? As they sing one more time, it's still open this morning. If you need prayer, you come this morning.
I'm needed here to move when you don't part the waters. I wish I could walk through when you don't give the answers. As I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. When you don't give the answers, I need you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers, as I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. 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 I will trust in you.
Let's pray. God, I love you. I thank you, God, for this day, God. I thank you, Lord, that we can look to the Bible for examples of godliness in every situation.
Yes.
And Lord, Hannah, in her brokenness, she saw a miracle, God. And sometimes you move in the ways that we think you're going to move, and sometimes you move in different ways, God, for whatever your purposes are, God. But I just pray that we get in the river of whatever you're doing. And that we're so in tune with who you are, God, that we hear the voice of God telling us which way to go. I thank you for this day. I thank you for this moment, this time that we've had together, Lord. Help us to leave here encouraged, strengthened, Lord. Help us to win the battles and to see the breakthroughs, Lord. We praise you. We honor you. We thank you for today. We thank you for what you're doing. And we believe you for the increase, God. We'll sow in tears, but we'll reap in joy, God. So I thank you for that today. In your name I pray. Amen. Amen. You be seated. Wednesday night we'll continue our series that we've been doing on breaking the habit. And Randy will be teaching for us that night on the blame game. And so you want to be here for worship at 6:30 and then teaching at immediately following that. So you can be part of that. Also, will there be no life groups tonight, meaning you spend time with your mothers? Enjoy that and be part of that. And also remember all the youth services on Wednesday nights in July. June and July will be in Weaver Park beginning at 6 o'clock. It'll be 6 to 8 during those nights. Now, the adults will still have service here, but the youth services will be in Weaver Park. So you be praying for that, that God opens some doors there as well. We'll let you know kind of more details on the help we'll need and everything as it comes about. Okay? Let's stand together. Thank you for being here. Happy Mother's Day. We're glad you chose to spend it with us. You turn around and you read someone near you. Check on those who aren't here today.